Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to the United States Army Special Operations Command, Non-Commissioned Officer and Soldier of the Year Award Ceremony. The hosts for today's ceremony are the Commanding General of the United States Army Special Operations Command, Lieutenant General John F. Mulholland, and Command Sergeant Major George A. Becker. Please rise for the entrance of the official party.
Folks, good afternoon. You sit down. All right. Sit.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. On behalf of the Commanding General and the Command Sergeant Major, I'd like to introduce our distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until they're all introduced. They are Brigadier General Reeder, Colonel Zegers and Command Sergeant Major Zeiser, United States Army Special Force Command, Colonel Neller, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Fox, and Command Sergeant Major Bell, United States Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School, Command Sergeant Major Lehman, United States Army Special Operations Aviation Command, Command Sergeant Major Hedges, Command Sergeant Major Costello, and Command Sergeant Major Kodrowski. Military Information Support Operations Command, Colonel Brown and Command Sergeant Major Duncan, 95th Civil Affairs Brigade, Colonel Rogers and Command Sergeant Major Haggie, 528th Sustainment Brigade. Command Sergeant Major Retired Stephen R. England, representing the AUSA National Headquarters. Sergeant Major Retired Andrew McFowler, representing the AUSA Braxton Bragg Chapter. Miss Angela Shuggs and Miss Joy Presley, representing the Association of Special Operations Professionals. Sergeant Major Retired Danny Powers, representing the Friends of Special Operation Forces. Command Sergeant Major Retired Johnny Underwood, representing GEICO. Mr. Chris Nunez, representing Veterans United Home Loans. Mr. Jim Blanchard and Mr. Glenn Dyke, representing the Special Forces Association National Headquarters. Command Sergeant Major Retired Richard L. Davis, representing the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. Mr. Ed Pakovich, representing the USASOC Soldier Family and Command Support Association. Mr. Dennis Carey, representing Oakley Incorporated. In addition, for their gracious support, we'll also like to recognize USASOC DCS Comptrollers Division and MWR, the Army and Air Force Exchange Service, and USAA. The representatives and their organizations are instrumental in supporting this command's NCO and Soldier of the Year program. Please welcome them all. Award ceremonies are and have always been important to military organizations. Far too often, we bring soldiers forward read them the citation, hang an award on their uniform, make a few comments, salute, and everyone is dismissed. It is quite probably more important to you and I that we hear of a soldier's exceptional performance than it is to the soldiers themselves. After all, they know what they've done. The USASOC mission has always been an important mission, and today's op-tempo makes it even more so. Soldiers of this command are constantly on the go. Somewhere around the world, at any given moment in time, these special operations NCOs and soldiers are all over the world conducting hundreds of different missions. The command continually searches out the best, the brightest, and the most physically fit of our Army soldiers to become part of the USASOC family. This week, we set out to discover those that stand even above them. It is to these men and women that we entrust the future of the Army Special Operations. Today, we recognize those who step forward to challenge themselves from unit competitions through the USASOC level competition, to earn the right to represent the command at the Sergeant Major of the Army competition in Washington, D.C. It's appropriate at this time we recognize all the representatives of the component subordinate commands and the component subordinate units who competed this week. The NCOs and the soldiers are from the United States Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School, Sergeant First Class Jeremy R. Wright. Specialist Delang Den. From the United States Army Special Forces Command, Staff Sergeant Sean M. Tedder. Specialist Saral Kumar Saresta. From the United States Army Special Operations Aviation Command, Sergeant George Sanchez. Sergeant Angel S. Colon. From the 95th Civil Affairs Brigade, Sergeant First Class Stephen M. Barron. Specialist Vikram S. Pamar. From Military Information Support Command, Sergeant Cartier Summers. PFC Madison Love. From the 75th Ranger Regiment, Staff Sergeant Paul T. Baker. Specialist Andrew D. Potoff. And representing the 528 Sustainment Brigade, Staff Sergeant Timothy Goodale. Specialist Christopher Wesley. They all deserve our respect and our congratulations. Please recognize their professionalism and accomplishment with a big round of applause. Please take your seats. At this time, we'd like to show you a short presentation featuring this year's competition. gentlemen, the United States Army Special Operations Command. Command Sergeant Major George A. Becker.
I had a chance to speak to all the competitors yesterday. They did a phenomenal job this week. By the way, sir, you're sitting next to a phenomenal soldier. She actually scored 300, right, on the PT test, which is one of the higher scores on the PT test. Right, Ranger? With that being said, what they put themselves through this week was phenomenal. From here, they will go on and compete at the Army level, representing USASOC. And as I was driving home last night, it popped into my mind that it isn't the fact that we take young men and women and turn them into soldiers. We just happen to be lucky, even before the war, to take young men and women who have a calling to become soldiers. And this calling is phenomenal. I think there's no greater profession in the world to be a soldier. And every time I see young men and women that are doing the job that I guess I did about 30 years ago, it just makes me proud of the fact that I'm part of this organization. So honestly, I don't think I could have made the competition at my age, but you guys did a phenomenal job. Guys, I think did a phenomenal job in the last week. So my hats off to you. All right.
I'm going to be at least as good as this.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce the host for today's ceremony and the commander of the United States Army Special Operations Command, Lieutenant General John F. Mulholland.
Well, I'm not sure on the announcer-meter. That was pointed, George Becker's. Anyway. Thanks, folks, for being here. I want to especially thank our benefactors for your great support, because this is so important. And this is an Army at war. This is the Special Operations Community that's been at war. We were busy before 9/11, of course. Since 9/11, we've just been extraordinarily busy. And there could be an easy and understandable temptation to say, hey, this stuff isn't important because we got work to do. We're fighting our nation's most dangerous and tenacious enemies. And that would be, I would tell you, from a profession perspective, a mistake. Because it is actually more important than ever that we continue with those traditional activities that are hallmarks of a professional army. And one of those has always been this emphasis within the non-commissioned officer corps, within our soldiery, to demand excellence in those tasks, which are combat-related tasks. And that is appropriate. That's what we should be doing. They should be relevant tasks. They shouldn't just be how white can they paint our rocks or etc. They should be combat-relevant tasks. So, but it is important that we maintain this tradition of this competition, of this striving for excellence, and because that's what we are. We're an army of excellence. We are certainly a special operations community of excellence. This is the finest special operations force in the history of man on the planet. And that is, the old guys remember the Real McCoys, the old TV show, and the famous catch, the bumper sticker from that was "No brag, just fact." But it is, it's no brag, it is just fact. This is the finest special operations force ever to walk the face of the earth. And every one of our tribes that comprise that incredible capability that we have collectively are represented here in the work that you all have done. And you should know how proud we are of you and what you represent. You should know that. And yes, we do our operational requirements, our combat tasks, whether it's Afghanistan or it was Iraq or whether elsewhere around the world. And we're today, I think 60 countries, there's an Army Special Operator there. I mean, that is what our nation expects us to do. But what you're doing here, what you've done here is part of that machine, part of that process that manifests that kind of capability. And the CSM said exactly right. You come to this with a passion, with a desire to become the best possible American soldier that you can be. And you obviously had to come here with something burning in your heart already. And then the tools and the training and education that has been provided has helped you reach another level of expertise and of excellence. So thank you for participating in this. It is very important. I mean, you look at this cross section of soldiers here, and we've got soldiers from every walk of life. You know, we have soldiers that represent a broad diversity of ethnicities and backgrounds, and that is what makes the American Army such an extraordinary army. It is exactly that. And so it's just really an honor and a privilege to serve in the same formation with you. It's an honor to be part of this ceremony. We're going to recognize all of you. I mean, there's going to be a couple of winners. I got that. The last thing I would want, I'd be surprised if the guys who didn't win didn't walk away going, damn it. You know, I would expect that. It's never about second place. Having said that, no one should walk out of here not thinking you haven't won, because you have. You're extraordinary soldiers and non-commissioned officers. And it is because of you that we have the Army that we have today. It's because of you we have the Army Special Operations Force that we have today. So thank you for all the effort, your personal investment in what you've done here. We honor it, we treasure it, and we need it. Because you will continue to grow the next generation of soldiers and non-commissioned officers that will continue to lead this Army and this force against our nation's most difficult enemies. Because that's not going away. And we all know this. And this war that we're in is going to continue to change and mutate, and we will be at this for the foreseeable future. And it's going to be you guys and your peers that are going to continue to carry that fight forward. And it's all going to be, and our ability to do that is going to be based on our ability to be excellent individual and collective soldiers in our collective formations. So thank you for what you've done here. We very much appreciate it. And it's been great sitting here next to young Private Love, because as the movie was playing, she was going, I kicked his ass. That was embarrassing. It was so easy. And I want to say my Ranger was in that. I don't we're going to quit picking on you here, but we're going to leave you alone. So really, it really is a privilege. So thank you for all you guys have done here. I think we're ready to move on to whatever's coming next. I'm taking all my words from.
Oh, sorry. Please be seated. The NCO and Soldier of the Year will represent USASOC at the Sergeant Major of the Army's Non-Commissioned Officer and Soldier of the Year Best Warrior Competition in October. They will also represent the command at many military functions over the next year. The runner-up, NCO and Soldier of the Year, must be prepared to assume the responsibility for representing the command if, for some reason, either of the winners cannot complete this year's tenure. And now, on behalf of the Commanding General and the Command Sergeant Major, I am proud to announce the USASOC NCO of the Year runner-up is Staff Sergeant Sean M. Tedder. On behalf of the Commanding General and the Command Sergeant Major, I am very proud to announce the USASOC Soldier of the Year runner-up is Specialist Andrew D. Potoff. At this time, Lieutenant General Mulholland, Command Sergeant Major Becker, and our distinguished guests will now present awards.
Who's buying the beer now?
The USASOC Certificate of Achievement is presented to Staff Sergeant Sean M. Tedder for meritorious achievement on 29 June 2012 for being selected as the runner-up for the Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year for the United States Army Special Operations Command for fiscal year 2012. Your exceptional abilities reflect great credit upon yourself, the United States Army Special Operations Command, and the United States Army. Signed, John F. Mulholland, Lieutenant General, United States Army Commanding. Lieutenant General Mulholland will now present our NCO of the Year runner-up to the USASOC Certificate of Achievement and the Commanding General's coin. Command Sergeant Major Becker will now present a USASOC MWR 500 EE savings bond, a $25 AFES gift card, and his Command Sergeant Major coin for excellence.
Executed.
The USASOC Certificate of Achievement is presented to Specialist Andrew D. Potoff for meritorious achievement on 29 June 2012.
We've done that. We're done.
Oh, next.
Are we ahead of you guys?
That's right. We're moving.
That's because we're fast.
We're fast. So we're good. We've done all that.
Command Sergeant Major retired England, representing AUSA National Headquarters, is presenting each runner-up with the AUSA coin. Sergeant Major retired McFowler, representing AUSA Fort Bragg Chapter, is presenting each runner-up with a AUSA certificate and chapter coin. Miss Angela Shuggs, representing the Association of Special Operations Professionals, is presenting each of our runners-up with a $50 Visa gift card. Sergeant Major retired Danny Powers, representing the Friends of Special Operation Forces, is presenting each runners-up with a $50 check and plaque. Mr. Jim Blatchard and Glenn Dyke, representing the Special Forces Association, is presenting each of our runners-up with a $100 check and plaque. Command Sergeant Major retired Richard Davis, representing the Special Force Warrior Foundation, is presenting each of our runners-up with a bullet ballpoint pen.
I gotta tell you about these bullet pens. There's places you can't take them. Airplanes, airports, a lot of other things that keep on the desk. And by the way, the reason for the bullet, this is a memento in memory of Staff Sergeant Chris Felger, was a 3rd Group Special Forces guy, died saving his team, Silver Star presented. His dad made these bullets, and the proceeds of these pens go to the Warrior Foundation.
Round of applause, runners up. Runners up, you may now return to your seats.
I think we have one more from Ed represents the USASOC Soldier Family and Command Support Association. All part of the deception plan. All part of the deception plan.
Okay, thank you. All right, now you guys can sit down.
Thank you, guys.
Now, on behalf of the Commanding General and the Command Sergeant Major, I am very proud to announce the USASOC Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year is Sergeant First Class Journey R. White. On behalf of the Commanding General and the Command Sergeant Major, I am very proud to announce the USASOC Soldier of the Year is Specialist Saral Kamar Shrestha. At this time, Lieutenant General Mulholland, Command Sergeant Major Becker, and our distinguished guests will now present awards. The USASOC Certificate of Achievement is presented to Sergeant First Class Journey R. White for meritorious achievement on 29 June 2012, for being selected as the Outstanding Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year for the United States Army Special Operations Command for fiscal year 2012, for soldierly traits and qualities clearly set you apart from your competitors. Your exceptional abilities reflect great credit upon yourself, the United States Army Special Operations Command, and the United States Army. Signed, John F. Mulholland, Lieutenant General, United States Army Commanding. Lieutenant General Mulholland will now present our NCO of the Year with the USASOC Certificate of Achievement and the Commanding General's coin. Command Sergeant Major Becker will now present a $1,000 check from the USASOC and MWR, a $250 gift card from USAA, a $50 gift card from AFES, and the Command Sergeant Major's coin for excellence.
I'm going to make an editorial inject here. And I'm going to screw up his last name here. What
was that, sir?
Close enough. Well, good answer. Good answer. Young Specialist here is a MAVNI soldier. And maybe other MAVNIs here? Outstanding. Okay, MAVNI is a program that's based on the old Lodge Act of the 50s and the 60s, the Cold War era, when Senator Lodge introduced and had legislation empowered that allowed primarily East and Central Europeans. The Cold War had just really begun. Iron Curtain had gone up, and you had Hungarians, Poles, Russians, Czechs, East Germans fleeing the Soviet Union. And many of them were looking for a chance to serve. And of course, they wanted to go back and liberate their homelands. And so Senator Lodge and others created legislation that allowed these Europeans to join the United States Army as an accelerated path to citizenship. And as old SF guys know, a huge number of those soldiers came into our community. So the Jakovenkos and the Shacknows and the Sobachevskis, these were all Lodge Act soldiers who came into Special Forces, and they came into this with a burning passion, one, to liberate their homelands, and to be part of this thing called the United States of America. We're all mutts, from all over the world. The MAVNI program is an acronym that stands for Military Accessions Vital to National Interest. And of course, it's an army, so we have to acronymize everything. But it's a similar program. And what that program allows is for non-Native Americans to join the United States military. And by far, the Army's picked the largest program. It's really Army and the Navy. So that they can, for the same thing. Of course, the Lodge Act brought into our Army and brought the SF these men who understood that they didn't know their culture, they lived their culture, they knew their language, etc. MAVNI does the same thing for the United States and the United States Army today. And it was a program that was really started and pushed by Special Operations. MAVNI soldiers served throughout the Army, but we worked very hard to have MAVNI soldiers come to Special Operations community and they're in primarily the SF, the Civil Affairs, and Military Information Support regiments, where those cultural, language, and skills that that you can't, you're not gonna take a white Irish guy and no matter how much hard I struggle and train and learn, you're not gonna replicate a soldier from that part of the world, from that country. So these great Mavs have joined our formation and have just have materially improved the capabilities of this force. And they come with that same burning passion to be part of something excellent that their forefathers in the Lodge Act era did. And so young specialist Sretha here and Palmer, Indian, from India, are Mavi soldiers. And this is at least the second year where in our competition, the range of finalists included Mavi soldiers. And it's just an incredible, first of all, again, it's a testament to the kind of country and army we have, where these young guys can come in. Every one of them's got a story, I guarantee it. And here they are reaching a level of excellence in the world's finest special operations force and the world's finest army. So these guys deserve a round of support and applause. These guys are amazing. They are what makes America great. So, back to the scheduled formation.
Command Sergeant Major retired Stephen England is presenting each of our winners with a gold watch and a AUSA coin on behalf of the AUSA National Headquarters. Command Sergeant Major, retired McFowler, representing the Braxton Bragg chapter of the AUSA, is presenting each of our winners with a $300 AFES gift card and the AUSA certificate and coin. Miss Angela Shuggs, representing the Association of Special Operations Professionals, is presenting each of our winners with a Kindle Fire book reader. Sergeant Major retired Danny Powers, representing the Friends of Soft, will present each of our winners with a plaque and a check for $250. Command Sergeant Major retired Johnny Underwood is presenting on behalf of Geico Insurance each of our winners with a $250 cash gift, a Geico coin, t-shirt, and lapel pin, downloadable music cards, and a Geico sports bag.
I'm out of order, sorry. All right, there's a gecko in here, yes sir, there is. But I did come here to say something, by the way, so I came here to say congratulations is what I came to say. But also bring a word of caution, because the next level of competition is even harder. So don't rest on your laurels, because if you do, you'll be passed by. Okay? I guarantee it's going to be tough at the next level. But for you guys, congratulations to you. Thanks for what you do every day. I appreciate it. Here's a gift bag for you. There's a lot of stuff inside there. The most important thing you get from me is a pat on the back. Thank you for what you're doing, and good luck. Thanks. Same to you there, Sergeant Mike. Congratulations to you. Good luck in the next level. And I would say, for the general here, I appreciate your attitude, sir. I know some people don't like to do NCO episodes of the year anymore because it's not really the operational part of the Army. Sir, thank you for support.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Jim Blanchard and Mr. Glenn Dyke, representing the Special Forces Association National Headquarters, is presenting each of our winners with a Glock pistol and a plaque.
Yeah, one of those 20 minutes.
Command Sergeant Major retired Richard Davis, representing the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, is presenting each of our winners with a golf shirt, cap, and bullet ballpoint pen.
I was gonna mention the $2,000 over there, so you guys are getting, I won't mention it now.
Mr. Ed Petrovich, representing the USASOC Soldier Family and Command Support Association, is presenting each of our winners with a $100 gift card from the Special Force Museum. Mr. Chris Nunez, representing the Veterans United Home Loans, is presenting each of our winners with an Iron Mike trophy. Mr. Dennis Carey, representing Oakley Incorporated, is presenting each of our winners with a pair of Oakley eyewear, Oakley FR gloves, and Oakley SI assault shoes. Boots.
When the Martians come, they're gonna get you.
Let's give our soldiers a warm round of applause. Please take your seats. In recognition of their outstanding performance during this competition, the remaining non-commissioned officers and soldiers will receive a USASOC Certificate of Achievement from the Commanding General, $300 EE Savings Bond from USASOC and MWR, a $500 gift card from the Association of Special Operations Professionals, and many other items donated by our dedicated sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the Army song.
Hey, change things. So, now, I'd like the rest of the come forward here, we'll help you and shake your hand. So, guys, come forward here.
I got it, sir.
All right,
Too easy, I apologize.
all right.
Well,
We're gonna do something.
well,
All right.
at this time, we ask all competitors, please move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please join Lieutenant General Mulholland, Command Sergeant Major Becker, and our distinguished guests in presenting the awards to all the soldiers.
tried to make this hard. It's gonna be all right.
Make sure we make some.
Oh, man, I could borrow one. There we go. We're gonna figure this out. That's all right.
Okay, now we're back on.
All right, I think we got this knocked out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join Lieutenant General Mulholland, Command Sergeant Major Becker, and our distinguished guests in congratulating these truly exceptional soldiers. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the playing of the Army song.
Face back, guys.
Fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, hey, the Army's on its way, town of the King and solid strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. Thank you for joining us and have a good day.
Thanks.